Welcome everyone back to the Carmys, the final day of the Carmys, that is, for our Motorsports Awards show of 2025. Today's the one you've been waiting on extra for a very obvious and an unfortunate reason that was happened on Thursday. And I explained a little more in a separate video that I put in an emergency upload. But today we're finally going to get to the final part of our Carmys Award, the top 5 worst NASCAR races of the 2025 season. Now, again, I say before, I watched every single NASCAR Cup, Xfinity Truck Series race, and even 2 ARCA Super Speedway races for 2025. I'm not proud of myself, I don't think. At least I don't think I should be proud of myself for that, but I managed to do it for the first time. So with that, I have gone through and also rated every single race from this year. And I shared it before, my top 5 best races. Now we're going to get to my worst races. I'm going to show off my rating, as you see on your screen. 9 to 9.9 are the best races in NASCAR history. 10 out of 10 is the greatest race in NASCAR history of all time, which is the 2000 Winston 500. Anything 5 and below is not considered very good at all. Like 5 to 5.9, not good to not good at all. 4 to 4.9 is just bad race. 3 to 3.9, worst race of the year contender. 2 to 2.9, worst race of the year. 1 to 1.9, worst race of the decade contender, or even of the decade. And then 0 to 0.9 is the worst races ever. That's just straight, like 0 to 0.9 is the worst race ever. And only 4 races are below 1. Every race is a 1 or higher. And one of those is the 2008 Breakout 400. So with that, let's get to my top 5 worst races of all time. But actually, before we get to the actual full list, let's get to 3 honorable mentions. Our first honorable mention is from the Texas Truck Series race. The 2025 Truck Series was, for the first half of the year, was actually solid, but around Michigan and Pocono, especially after Michigan, the season kind of slowly declined, and it went back to being very mediocre and having some Truck Series type moments still. But I'd say compared to other years and past, like 20, 22, 23, 24, especially like the last 2 years, it was better. And I think the Truck Series could still have some out with some, guys like Haley, Justin Haley, Daniel Dye, and other guys. Potentially Christian Eckes. We don't know, though, what's going to happen with Big Machine, though. But if Christian Eckes does go back down to the Truck Series, we could see a lot more veteran presence. And I think the series, I would hope, will be, for the most part, better, although we do have Chris Wrong in the Truck Series full-time, so that's probably about 50% hopefulness out the window. But this Truck Series race was it was kind of a crash fest throughout. A stupid ass amount of cautions happened. And the racing, whenever it was green, was solid enough, I guess, but that was the issue. It was not green a lot. There was way too much cautions. And it just kind of spread throughout the whole race as well. Not to mention it is Texas. The grass also was a major issue. And that became very obvious in our next honorable mention, the Xfinity race the very next day. Again, grass issues, definitely a wreck fest. We had 3 cautions in 20 laps at the opening stage. We were at one point looking at definitely like one of the worst races of the year. The race started getting a little bit better through stage 2, although there were still, your regular 2025 Xfinity Series issues. But then later on in the race, Chris fucking Wright strikes. He basically was a borderline caution clock throughout the race. 3 separate incidents, or I think got involved 3 separate incidents, and that infamous one with Justin Allgaier. Like that's what I think he will be remembered for most, outside of running into Josh Bilicki's ass at Daytona. That was just kind of a joke. And it ends with Kyle Larson winning in basically replacement for Connor Zilisch from injury, because Zilisch got injured at Talladega. It was basically kind of a Leach win, but Larson did actually have to work for it to a certain extent, unlike, that Bristol race where he beat the field's ass. This one he did actually have to work for it, but it still was not very good, and not to mention the grass showcase as well. Fun fact, nothing from this Texas weekend got rated the best race of the weekend, because these 2 tied in Cup race. Spoiler alert, probably if you had to guess, it's going to be on this list. And finally, our last honorable mention is Cup Series race from Bristol, the second worst Cup Series race of the year. is this one. And it's probably one of the most boring races of the year. And I titled this race brutal under my race ratings. And it is a pretty brutal race to watch. The racing mid-pack wasn't actually terrible, but basically, if you were the leader in clean air, clean air just was way better. There was a lot of talk that from practice that there was going to be tire fall off throughout the day, but it turns out the tire fall off was so little and so minimal that we actually thought that someone could go 100 and could go the entire final stage on tires and not pit at all. At one point, Ryan Blaney went long and had the whole field lap, which could have helped if caution came out to have a hilarious moment where Blaney had the whole field lap. And if that had been the case, man, would that have been a moment. Unfortunately, though, we can't get funny moments like that. Larson went on. Larson definitely had the most dominant car of the day and had the best car of the day. But, you know, he was definitely aided by, you know, just overall the next gen and just clean air as a whole. This and that fall race were the complete opposites. You know, because fall race was, you know, had tons of tire fall off, tons of gas. This one was basically boring. They were borderline opposites. And I know a lot of people probably would consider this to be in their top 5. I don't think this is my top 5. This isn't going to be my top 5. It could have been top 5, but there are a few races that are worse. Now for our official top 5 list. Number 5, worst race of the year, is Xfinity Series race at Rockingham. The 2025 Xfinity Series is going to be a cautionary tale of almost everything that could go wrong in a season that could go wrong. Anything bad that could appear in a NASCAR season about happened here. Like, there was very little. Not to mention as well, Jesse Love walked with the championship when many people was like Harzilic could have won it. There was a lot of the shit as well. This was just peak full-on Xfinity. This was the perfect description of the 2025 Xfinity Series in a nutshell, this race. The amount of hype going in this race, this was one of the most hyped races because you're returning to Rockingham, a track that everyone loved. It's on Easter weekend. Not to mention, Casey Kane, my GOAT's making a return to the series. What happened? Well, Kane had actually a very strong car throughout the race early on. The racing was pretty damn solid, despite, you know, the Xfinity cars being pretty big as hell. And we're doing decent early on. Then Catherine Legg and William Swallow struck and took Kane out, and Legg, well, control disconnected for that matter and crashed her own self, and Sawaj caused the entire incident as well. The race fell off a cliff from that point. It just felt like, you know, slowly. There were a lot of cautions in between. The final stage, the final stage was starting to maybe make a run at it. Ryan Z was trying to make a comeback, but then cautions kept happening. Kane got another accident, more crashes, and then freaking Christian Eckes ran outfield in front of the whole damn field, and the big one strikes. Then Sam Mayer on the next restart runs out of fuel. Connor Zilich, trying to avoid him, completely panics in mid-corner, slides up, and causes a massive friggin' wreck mid-pack, and another accident. More stupid shit ensues. In the final restart, Jason Love was able to break away from the pack and break through and get the win, as he was obviously the best car of the day. Psych! He got disqualified out of the race, and Sammy Smith won it. Fun fact, this race probably may have not actually made this top 5 list if Jesse Love didn't get disqualified. But Jesse Love getting disqualified was the final cherry on top of this shitbird. Truly was like peak 2025 Xfinity Series in every bad way possible. I will never forgive the fuckers in this field because I think this race is almost guarantees that Casey Kane probably may never end up running another fucking NASCAR race. I would be shocked if he actually ran another NASCAR race after this. Because they probably turned away. He looked at this probably in disgust and said, this is not the sport I raced in, and nearly almost fainted at one point in my life for. This is not even close to the same sport. This is just something that is unforgettable. That moment as well, that this may have been what drove Casey Kane to the grave of not wanting to drive stock cars anymore, is just unforgivable. Our number 4 race on this list is another Xfinity Series race. It's that Martinsville race. Another classic 2025 Xfinity Series race. This was somehow an even bigger shit show than Rockingham. The racing, like, it was just your Xfinity Series short track, basically, you know, there was just cautions filled throughout the race. It ran long. There was, I think, even a red flag at one point for a big one on the backstretch involving all the damn collie cars. They just kept wrecking and spinning. Jesse Love punctured his damn radiator, trying to, I guess, push into Carson Quaffle because he and Quaffle got involved in an incident like a dumbass, took himself out. And that finish, what a disastrous finish. Mike Joy called it literally a dumpster fire the next day on the Cup race. Because Sammy Smith, I was actually wanting him to move Taylor Gray and dump Taylor Gray. It would have been funny. The problem is he did it too hard and completely butched the entire finish and gave Austin Hill a completely unfucking deserved win. And the whole damn field completely nuked behind. And it just was, an embarrassing night. Like, it was just an embarrassing night that everybody involved should have been ashamed of. Justin Allgaier said as well that somebody had to step up and something had to be done about this. And the big bitch literally stated he wanted to be an example. That right there should have been a red flag of how bad the series has fallen in the manner of a year. Like, not even a year. Because Austin Hill is the last fucking bitch who should be trying to be a role model for younger drivers. And we were proven correct at fucking Indianapolis. There is just no way in hell that should ever be happening. This was one of the low points. There were many low points in this Xfinity Series season. This was one of those. This was, I think, the first low point of the damn year. And, I am still a little worried about 2025 Xfinity. Maybe not quite as bad it could be that as this year, but I'm still worried about the series this year. And what's sickening about this race is this was not even the worst race of 2025 for Xfinity alone. We'll get into that in a second. Our number 3 race on this list is, the Truck Series at Lime Rock. Now, this race was not the worst race of the year, and I wouldn't even say in terms of racing quality, it may not even be the worst race of the year, but this is far and away the most disappointing race of the year, because the hype on this one as well was off the charts, because we had seen Lime Rock Racing had been a great track for IMSA Racing, and even for the lower division K&N E-Series had put on a phenomenal race in 2016, and the racing there had been great for it, so we had thought that this could be a good race. What we got instead was a single file train throughout majority of the race. It was like almost a parade. Like, there was very little passing. Like, it wasn't even like, Corey Heim led 99 of 100 laps. He basically should have been 100 laps because he had gotten bullshitly beat to the line during a restart. I think for a stage restart. Though, while Corey Heim definitely did have the best truck all day, he definitely got aided by a track that produced such damn little passing. I could probably have, your average NASCAR Heat 5 lobby race probably had more green flag passes than what we saw here at Lime Rock during the Truck Series race. It was just a bore fest, and it just dragged on 100 laps, and we were just basically waiting for the race to get done because there was such little passing going on throughout the field because you really couldn't. Like, it was shocking how little you could actually pass. And it was obviously tough for people to pass. The only thing that even happened was the caution truck got stuck on the side, and there was the hilarious restart that half the field went wide at. Outside of that, Corey Heim dominated to win. This was one of the moments that really led the Truck Series sinking down toward, back down from their high that they experienced here in the spring toward the sun. That caused, from the summer and the fall to kind of go downhill a bit. Because this was the worst Truck Series race of 2025, and it is probably the most disappointing race of 2025 for the amount of hype that went into this race. Number 2 worst race of 2025 is the worst NASCAR Cup Series race of all time. I already handed it before. It's that fucking Texas race. I got some shit for this, but I tell you, if I had made a video talking about this race, if I did like a race review type series, I would have been shitted on by the community for no good reason at all. Because this made me question the community again. Just like that 23 Richmond race, the spring Richmond race, I questioned the community's fucking sanity. This was a terrible fucking race. It was basically, again, it was basically like 2, maybe 3 groups in turn, 1. You could actually, get something, have decent turn 3-1. Or turns 1 and 2. Turns 3 and 4, it was 2 groups. Once you got a third group, the bumps just fuck the cars and just sit them around. You cannot race more than 2 wide at most at Texas. And you can't even do that. Like, Texas really is only like a 1 group racetrack. The track is just not good. The repave fucked the track up. And this is the one issue I have with Dale Jr. Run Sport, because he would probably fucking add 2 races to this instead of just 1. We just got rid of a Texas race. This track deserves to burn in hell and deserves to be abandoned for 20 years and nuked off the face of the earth. It is I'd argue, the worst track in NASCAR history, just for what it did to the sport in terms of racing and how we nearly lost North Wilkesboro and Rockingham because of it. And there's just so much more of the story. The race what happened in the race is not even customary. Like, it was just a wreckfest shit show, and this was the bad kind. Last year's 2024 Texas race at least was funny to a certain degree. It got so stupid and bad and dumb that it did actually get a little funny. This was not fun bad. This was just bad. Like, this is the shit show that is the bad type of shit show. And, you know, are we finally done looking at the finally taking off the rose tinted fucking glasses and looking at this for what it really was? It's like looking up Winnie the Pooh Bear's asshole. It's not a good experience. It's every type of bad fucking experience you can get watching a modern NASCAR Next Gen race at Texas. You know, intermediates, you know, have dealt with issues with dirty airport, but you cannot deny that most intermediates have seen a raise up forward compared to the, or raise up compared to the 550 package. This is the one track that has not seen an improvement, in my opinion. The racing has been the same shit show since, you know, the repave. And I think things have gotten worse with this next gen car. Look, this is one of the racetracks that the next gen has actually made worse. One of the few intermediates that has been made worse. And that is damning, but it truly is an atrocity to all that is motorsports and all racing as a whole. Now we are here. The number 1 race of 2025. The worst race of the 2025 season is Atlanta Spring. Or not that Atlanta Spring race. That was actually an okay Atlanta Spring race for Xfinity. It's their summer race. Their summer night race in Atlanta. Oh boy. Lime Rock and this race within a 12-hour difference. What a time period. And I'll get to more explain in a second. This race, Atlanta, again, fortunately, takes the top, for the worst race of 2025 for the second year in a row. Because the spring race from 2024 took number 1 spot for my list. I would have had it if I had been around in 2024, would have taken my list last year. And I honestly think that might be the worst race in NASCAR history. Well, I don't think this race is nearly as bad as 2024 or even 2023 for that matter. It's still not a good race at all. It's not good. Like, there was rain delays, there was a stupid ass amount of crashes and cautions that went on through this race. And it took a long ass time. Like, the race didn't finish until almost 1 in the damn morning. And the race was meant to begin, I think, at 7:30. But we had at least over an hour-long rain delay. Then we had stupid ass amount of wrecks that happened. It just took a long time. During the red flag, I'll straight say, because I was in Iceberg, Jarrett's Lumberg's, the Iceberg Shack. One of the top things we did throughout the night was reminisce about some of our favorite announcer quotes. Like 4 deep behind Stewart and Kenseth, or and Kenseth clear by Logano, baby no, Kenseth takes him out. Those types. That was some of the highlights of the damn night. Like, it legit was, you know, that, like, green flag racing, train racing, which should be an atrocity itself, felt like a breath of fresh air for some of the amount of cautions we had. Like, it was a ridiculous amount of cautions that we did have this race. And I would say, you know, you get a first-time winner like Nick Sanchez could win. Problem is, he probably won the race in a very underwhelming, and also, that was during time where, you know, or at least during the race where Nick Sanchez was not, you know, he'd been involved in other instances and you know, a lot of people weren't really thrilled about that incident. And I think a lot of people are also just not happy because it was late as well and the race took so damn long. This race, though, undeniably was the worst race of 2025. And, you know, something I realized as well, this and that Truck Series race, the worst Xfinity race and the worst Truck Series race 2025 happened within 12 hours of each other. And they happened within 12 and 24 hours of the best NASCAR Cup Series race of the damn year. That Atlanta race, the Quaker State 400, was the best race of 2025. While these two races were 2 of the worst races, and the worst races for Truck and Xfinity. That's crazy how that worked out. So that's going to be it for my top 5 worst races of 2025. Do you agree with these? I know you guys are not going to agree with all these. Do you think another race should take any of these place spots? Do you have another idea for a race or another race that slipped through the cracks? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching our long award show for 25, the Carmys. Hope you guys enjoyed. And I'll see you guys in the next time. See ya.